Hello and welcome back to Inspired Living TV. I am so glad you're here today because I am sure at some point in your life you have been told to follow your intuition. And you're wondering, what does that really mean? And how do I tap into that to create the most inspired life and business possible? And today, I think we're going to get the answer for you, right, Jill?
Yes, we are.
I am sitting down with acclaimed author, speaker, and intuitive Jill Willard, who has worked with families, celebrities, and influencers for over 25 years. And we're going to tackle that question and so many more in today's ILTV interview. Jill, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
So much for joining me. I love this conversation. And I love that actually, I think as a society, we're hearing the word intuition more. Like it's not quite as mysterious as it used to be, or forbidden, or woo-woo. And yet, to a lot of people, it is.
Absolutely. It's a great point.
Yes.
It's an exciting time to be here.
It is.
Yes.
So let's just answer one of the top questions off the front here before we hear more about your story.
Yeah.
Instinct versus intuition.
Such a great question.
Is there a difference?
Yes, there is, and very wise.
All right, tell me what it is.
Well, doing this intuitive work a long, long time, I've come to understand this well. So for all the intuitives and soon to be intuitives, because we're all very intuitive, this is important. So the gut instinct we teach a lot is in the belly or the stomach, and there is a lot of brain in there.
There's extra brain for me right now.
There is a triple brain, right? Exactly. So you're extra intuitive,
Yes.
which is mother's intuition,
Yes.
right? So it's spot on. So there's a lot going on instinct-wise that's also very connected to the back part of the brain. So more about ego and earthly and more of that denser matter, which can get into our fight or flight a little bit at times. Then if you connect it to the front of the brain, which some people love the third eye or the window.
I've heard that.
Right?
Yep.
We like talking about it in front of the pineal gland or the gray matter. It's very real. Just such a joy to finally, that's being proven in science and things we've known for a long time. That is very intuitive and not part of our ego and not really a part of us. Meaning if we open it up, intuition comes in from all the spaces and places, whether we think it's universal energy, God, spirit, source, nature. We are part of the universe, so connecting to the universe, being spiritual or one or connective, that combo makes us so highly intuitive, but it's non-emotional, it's non-personal. So we want to make sure as we're reading our intuition, we don't mull it through the brain or bring it too deep and low where then we're not reading it clearly.
That's so good. And that is the practice.
That is the
Right,
practice
that is
and
the
the maturity. And once we're all 25, and I hope there are people older and younger listening as well, once we're 25, the brain comes into its full mature form. So that's when marriage and those sorts of things open up. But we even mean marriage and union with creativity, with feeling our gut instincts and knowing what they are, just that high interconnectiveness or interdependence where we work with and not against, and not just for the me and my or I, for the our, the we, and the all.
Let's talk about that interconnection. Growing up somewhat religious in a Christian home, when I was first introduced to spirituality and intuition, it was always outside of me. Right? It was always something I had to seek outside of me to find answers. And I still love to pray. But we're talking about really connecting with the God, the spirit, the energy within.
Within
right? And trusting
without.
that. Okay.
Or throughout.
Because I think a lot of people feel like, I don't need to be spiritual, or I am spiritual. I pray, I go to church. And that was my first thing, is like, I don't need it. And then I figured it out that, gosh, I have to meditate. I have to be quiet. I have to seek within as much as I seek outward.
Well said. You've touched on so many great things. So I'll start by saying this. We teach a lot about the midbrain or limbic system as the bridge from heaven to earth, us with God, hearing God or energy. So it's very spiritual. And it's really being open and being calm to hear and receive as well those messages from or with God or nature and everything else. So that's one part. The other thing that is so fascinating that I mentioned is religion. This is throughout all religions, through the Bible and the Quran, the Torah, all these different universal languages has spoken of this. But what's often happened is it's gone through patriarch or left brain or separation. So God is separate. A person looking and separate, far away, and you need to bow down, and then there's separation. So there's not connection, which is such an irony because spiritual and connection, bringing it in for work, play, business, raising children, health,
Yes.
calmness, your cells, someone else's cells, the earth, the universal energy, the stars that we're made of. So there's a lot about bringing it in and connecting it. And I, for a long time, many know I sometimes got a little frustrated with man or masculine or patriarch. We just now say left brain or more that linear.
Right.
And the fear and separation, and you have to do or be good to have God's love. It just doesn't really make sense when you think about it, because if God wouldn't let that occur. So
Right,
can we bring it in? It's our free will it's almost bringing it into form, bringing God's light energy, or bringing air into form, the formless into form. And that's very important to understand that we do that. We are the humans in the high mammal vibration that can bring that through. So it's important to understand the merging and the non-separateness. I think we get caught in thinking of other, and that's a phase of maturity that we should be done with by about the age of 13 or 14. Learning you're good at this, I'm good at this, God can be here, and then the independence of showing up. So
wouldn't that be great if we learned that at 13 and 14?
Oh, it would be great.
Wouldn't it be great?
It would be lovely.
Yes,
We'd get out of the junior highness.
Yes,
running
it would
amok.
yes. Well, let's talk about, because we talked about masculine energy, and we're in a place right now, especially going into this new decade, where I feel like we're really starting to bring together the masculine and the feminine. It's not good versus evil. It's not you have to be left or right. It's really coming together as a whole. And I'm wondering, though, we hear a lot about a woman's intuition, mother instinct, which I'm telling you, as mothers, we know that to be true.
Yes.
But men have the same abilities to connect into this inner knowing that women do, correct?
I love this. Yes, and I'd say no or not.
Okay.
Meaning, the male and female brain is very different. And yes, men have great instincts and intuition and will maybe use it or offer it a little differently than female, or those that feel more in their feminine, because this can be non-gender as well. But the brain of the female is different than the male brain. We connect differently. We understand the space between the trees, or bond, or the space between us as well as our body. I don't want to say more of it in a unique, beautiful way of the mother element or that influence. That is why I believe we come from a male and a female energy, even if it's through to, one or three men, or, however it comes through in partnership. There still is the both sides. So women do have more of what we're talking about in a high intuition for bonding. I think men have a high intuition for protection and for some of that.
Most
so
definitely.
It's just used differently. But yes, we all have it to such a high degree.
And we can all tap into it to help us with creating and how we want to be in the world.
We are here now.
It's just how we connect to it, maybe, or how we connect to the brain is a little bit different.
I love you say that, and connect to our experience, which comes from our
experience.
past,
Correct.
and who was home and who wasn't, or what was more popular in culture. It plays a role, because what comes up here, which I think is so wonderful, is we all have it. We sometimes call it lights in the house or in the brain. We all have it in our brain and in our body already by our birthright. Do the lights turn on? Was that part of the muscle of the brain cultivated? In our culture, not so much.
Right.
So it's all in you already listening. So we're here to light it up and open it and almost remember, versus think you have to race to get to it or grow and create it.
You know what I love about that so much, Jill? So I teach people how to ignite their it factor and be on camera. And I always say, we're all born with it. We're all born with this beautiful light within us, this ability to make a difference, this ability to impact lives. And yet most of us, as I say, walk around on the dimmer switch. And you're pretty much saying the same thing. That we all have this way of connecting to our inner knowing, to our spirits, but we've been told or conditioned. And so we just don't listen. We don't tune in.
So well said about the tuning in, because even in the mediumship, people say, will you tell my dad who's here I love him? I said, no, I'm just tuning. You're talking with he or she as well.
Right.
That's so important. And that part, and then spot on. We often say it gets layered or blankets, or the light gets dimmed, even under religion or family structure or belief systems.
Absolutely.
And we are taking those gloriously off for all people.
So let's go back to your background, because you are very well known in your space as a medium, an intuitive. You're an acclaimed author. You have amazing programs out there. Did you know early on that you had this gift? And I want to know, is it something that you're born with, being super intuitive? Is it something that you can continue to cultivate and grow within yourself? Like, I'm so curious about how you stepped into this realm in your life.
Yes. When I stepped in fully to even do it professionally, it was very dark and not known to many. I knew it was of light. So I'll start with, yes, I always, I trusted this from a young age. I lived in Europe for a little bit when I was young. And I think at those ages, kind of 2, 3 years old, I was reflected back that this light was of God, and this intuition and knowing, was actually understood in a lot of cultures outside the US. We were very young here, I believe. I was conceived in Thailand when my dad was over flying planes in the Vietnam War, and my mom came back to California in my gestation. But the reason I mention that is there's a lot of psychic monks there. Some people have heard this. So some believe I kind of have it in all these ways. Also, my grandmother, my Italian side, this is very common in Italy, and my Italian grandmother had this, and I adore her. Grandma Rose, very this color. It's funny we're wearing this today, not often. So it's in my heredity. So it's just like if we're a good carpenter or photographer or business person or golfer or skier, if it's in the DNA, it's going to come more natural to us because it's in our DNA from our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. I decided to come forward with it by a ton of friend support, well-known people here in Los Angeles that were dear friends.
Were you nervous about it?
Oh, yes. I said no. I said, yes, I will. No, thank you.
Right. Because I feel like regardless whether you're where you were or maybe you want to start a business, you have this great idea.
Yes.
Putting it out there.
Putting it
I'm
out
going to do
there.
this is scary.
And I think a lot of the viewers want to start a business or are in business. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and wife. And I was very smart in school and I was strong in things, but my true goal was that. So I was like, no, I'll be home with the young child. When I came forward, now we were pregnant, I think, with my first, and then when it really blew up, I was pregnant with my second, and we had an office down the street in Manhattan Beach. My husband would walk our beautiful baby girl, and I would breastfeed her in between readings.
Wow.
But to flash forward back to that in the late 90s and early in the millennium, I would use my psychic intuition ability a ton with loved ones, friends, family. I tried not to read friends or loved ones, but if it dealt with me and I knew something was going on, I'd tune in, and then you'd know what's going on. The seventh sense, not just, my gut or instinct is on. What is it? That's a combination again. So I saw it brought me great joy. It brought pain, and I'd love to blame the other people at times, but only because of my choices.
Sure.
And I didn't listen, and then so the knocks would get harder and someone would cheat.
You didn't listen.
I didn't
right?
listen.
How many of us sometimes have those knocks and we don't listen?
That's it. And you really can start to feel that this part of the brain knows that vibration of, oh, the MapQuest says to go right, but it says to go left. And then you just kind of rectify, which one? Let's pull over and think for a moment, or just breathe in, and you just start to learn to hone it. So when I came out professionally, it was known as dark. It was in hidden quarters in the spiritual world, but there was a lot of synchronicity and luck and a lot that came rushing through that I knew it was right. Yeah. And then it took off, and doing it ever since. And at first, many loved it, friends, family, some really are like, of course you're doing it. But then the next row of community people at church, others, it became a love-hate, very black, white, or binary, very low vibration, binary thinking that we're in our culture a lot. That's why we fight, right? We hold on tight to our old view that if we really thought about it, we might not even believe in.
Right.
And then, but I just stayed with it because by then my gut was in place. I was a mother, and I really was that mama bear of, this is right to do. When I would shy from it, my husband would lose his job, things would happen. And I think it's in those moments we don't want to drop too much like, oh gosh, my life's over. It really is, what are these signs for? Because I believe
what is it telling me?
It's all positive. It's all life force. I do not believe there's a fearing, awful God or man or anything on us. That's all our human experience. And if we can clear those memories or clear that old patterning or experiences, we start to fly more. So that's what I was doing in the process of, even as things are dropping, it's because they're opening. And when you can stay up in the lungs and the heart and the gut, you notice it all works itself through because you don't get in a lot of fear.
Right.
So,
and it is fear.
It is fear.
From doing so much and being who I feel like so many of us are called to be. You want to know about something funny? So I have an Italian background as well. And my great uncle was a psychic, an intuitive. And very, very religious, very spiritual. It was like shamed, and he like want to get it out, but he would know things. And I mean, that's very interesting because until you said that, I didn't make that connection because I consider myself to be very intuitive.
You are.
And yet as an entrepreneur, I find, Jill, that I get into the place of doing and trying to force sometimes versus
Left
really,
brain.
yes, left brain. And I think a lot of women, and of course men, are taught to go that route, especially in entrepreneurship. And I'm so curious for that one person watching right now who needs to learn how to really tap in.
This is a beautiful
How
segue.
do they do that?
Yes. So we've been taught to be doers in our culture.
Yes.
And it's really
And
wearing
celebrated.
everyone out. And
you're
celebrated.
If you're burnt out, busy, like great, you're doing great,
Oh my
right?
goodness, yes, and that's over. We're in 2020.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to
Can
do
we
that
please?
actually.
Yes.
2020. And this is, so we started a meditation company to open the right brain back up just to balance. It's not better,
Right.
just to balance. And it's all in you. The right brain affects the left side of the body, but it is the feminine side, the connective side, energy and motion, about connection, and then connecting to spirit or to turning things into alchemy and form, where there's more luck, but you also create more form. Many know how to do this. They're just doing it instinctively. So they're keeping it low and taking from earth. When you do it higher and with
Like
this
all
part
a
of the
sudden,
mind,
yeah.
and you learn to do meditation is key in this, to clear that kind of center part of your brain, to use it and not stop or not drop into the fear. It's a different part of the brain than up here. You just grow tremendously. So quiet time, rhythmic, anything, meditation, breath work that gets deeper in here, starts to flesh and open
That
here.
diaphragmatic breath, right? The
As long
deep
as it's
breath.
calm,
Right.
exactly. I'm not about the masculine things right now at all. The fast and furious breath, the 500 reps. No, no, no. That's going to put you more in your fight or flight or your primal part of your, not just your mammal, but your primal animalistic. That's not where this is. Let the new fresh ideas drop in. Like we were talking earlier, 3 a.m. musician who's had a ton of whiskey and, drops in the new song. It really is when we relax and get out of the way, it comes in. I don't advocate drug use because I do think right now drug use is iffy because we're in such a high vibration now of transparency. We don't need the hard anything to open.
But you were saying you need to relax and let it drop
Relax
in.
and
And
let it
I
drop
feel
in.
as a culture, especially here in the US, we don't create space for that. So can you give us, like, what would be, if we wanted to start a practice or start a meditation or start really opening ourselves up, what would be something that we could do that doesn't, because I know a lot of people are like, I can't meditate. I try
you
and I
don't have
can't.
to.
And so
Well, there's many ways to meditate. It's not just closing your eyes, looking down. It's one way that I think people eventually get to. But you can go on a walk with lighter music or quiet and listen to your breathing. I would say for this group, even if you're in your car, at a desk chair, hustling to make your company happen, whenever it can be on the grass, it can be before the dentist appointment or before transition times are wonderful when you're waiting for something in traffic, if you're in Los Angeles, eyes open, feel the bottom half of your body drop down to connect to the earth or your seat, really, and then picture or feel, it will become both, all your energy dropping down in. That helps you feel safe and secure. We need this part of our brain.
You're right.
We can't jump out of being a mammal or a human or a person with needs. So you cater to that, like, I'm relaxed, I'm safe. And then really touch into your gut and relax your gut or stomach lining and just kind of open up, kind of take your thought and go, how are we doing in there? Relax it. And then the diaphragm's right there and the heart. Then we start to relax the shoulders. Even try to open, and it'll be subtle. You could be driving or on camera or
as she's saying this, everything in my body, I'm like, oh, this feels so nice.
Right?
Yes.
It's good for hangovers. We joke like it helps everything. You open up, and then you start breathing more deeply and slowly. And for some, you're going to need to focus more on the inhaling more deeply into the lower lung or diaphragm or diaphragmatic breath, which is more down here. You can pause or not, and then exhale more deep and long. Deeply or outwardly, and feel that, and then just get into your natural rhythm and things start opening. Often in a moment you'll even say, oh my gosh, I am hungry, or oh my gosh, I am thirsty, or oh my gosh, I know the name of my new company, or oh my gosh, why did it say to call my dear friend? Because you're opening that access that's been trying to voice and say. It's just kind of quieter and calmer. And off you go, and you'll be shocked. Sometimes we go, it didn't work, but I thought of the color purple. And then they'll walk in to the next appointment, it's all purple. And they thought of the word Ted. And a gentleman says, I'm Ted, nice to meet you. It's fast. And then it grows from that. It becomes simple, more complex, whatever we believe, but it starts to move in those dimensions and different things we were talking about earlier. Whatever word you give it, it can be love, it can be luck, it can be dimensions, it can be holiness. It can be wholeness. Just believe more in the connectiveness of it.
Yeah.
And it all opens from there. We really aren't in control of it. We are receiving or witnessing it. Many don't ever understand that. So they get a blip of it and then they try to control it.
We try to control things. I don't know
try to-
what you're
Oh, the
talking
American
about.
way?
I don't know.
No, right? Exactly. Do we try to control things?
Yes,
No.
I don't know.
No,
What?
we have-
What? Yes,
no,
yes.
whatever. And I love we own it and laugh. It's very joyous.
Yes.
And even when things are hard, you find the levity in it. And that leads into the mediumship and other things. But just remember, we're not alone, because it can feel vulnerable and lonely because it's new. Doesn't mean it's wrong. You're creating neural pathways, new experiences. And so that the brain is going, or your ego is going, I don't know this. You say, oh, we got it.
Right.
That's the joy of being over age 17. Our brain's ready for it. We've gone through a flesh. We're ready for new, to walk through the forest in autonomy. Independence is important, so we teach you have to learn the I to then be the we and the all. If you're
beautiful.
using me, my language, you're a little bit too low, because nothing is me, my. That's a very age 1.5 to 3 process that we revisit and move through. By the time we're 14, 15, it should be more about the I for the we, or the us. What's our offering that I came to bring, or how God
Which
made
I believe
me.
we all have, whether you're an entrepreneur or not.
Oh, all
right?
humans,
Yeah.
whether
Yes.
you've messed up, I was about to cuss and use the
Right.
F word, whether you haven't, whether you've, quote, the other F word, failed, no such thing.
No such thing.
That's all mental constructs that are deep in the old psyche of wanting to belong and fit in. I believe intuition is actually in a different part of the brain. Yes, we need to belong and wish to belong, but also what can we contribute to the belonging instead of pining just to belong or fit in? That's very junior high, high schooly. How do we say, I'm going to offer this to my family, friends, tribe, community, world? We need to get onto that side of the rainbow, or the hill of like, wait a second, I've been embodied. How can I really use this? And if there's any old trauma or drama, it's time to clear that. 'Cause
And
that's
you can
where it
help
gets
people do that
congested.
as well. As
That's
clear
what
that
we
up,
do.
because
and
that's
that's
so
what I
much
do.
of where we function from, right?
We just did that.
Those, those neurological pathways that have been embedded, the trauma,
They're
the drama. But
To
we could
not
talk
be
about
released
that.
and
Yes.
aired out.
Yes.
And now it's time. Yeah.
For someone who is looking to grow their business, I would love for you to share how you have used intuition, because you've built an amazing business that you didn't even really intend to build, and not in force, right?
Not in
truly
force.
in flow.
Well
So what would
said.
be some tips? And I loved that breathing and just being still and letting yourself be open.
Yeah.
But what would you tell someone who is looking to really grow and feels like they're constantly being pulled to do more? And yes, we need to breathe.
that.
But how have you used your intuition to like
we're always
navigate?
breathing. Well said. So I would say here, always have, or often, or in the morning or evening, or just sometimes. We don't. Some people are very meticulous about rhythms, morning and night. Some will do it once a week. Time and space is also a mental construct, meaning you don't have to do it at 7 a.m. to be more successful, but maybe for some we do, to be
Right.
disciplined that way. Other discipline could be when we feel like it. So my point is, get a piece of paper or your phone, and when you relax, we teach meditation this way. When you come out of the couple-minute meditation or longer, write down what comes in, or if it's so in your mind, you can pause your meditation, do it again, or do it later that day. There's no right or wrong, but witness yourself or write things down when you're in that state. Even if you're like, bluebird, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You'll know, because you'll go into a meeting later that week and a bluebird will be outside, or the bluebird's the name of your company. When you talk to great entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are successful, they all say this happened.
Yes.
They were on an airplane, they were wherever, and an idea came and they wrote down, put it away. That's one part. Also, not to deny anything. If it comes up to call an old boyfriend or girlfriend or your mother or an old business associate, do it. Even if you say, I don't know why I'm calling. I would say wait a couple days and sit on it and construct, why did this come up? Just do not sabotage it and do not ignore it. Sometimes it's to say, I am sorry, and what's holding you back is you feel guilty, but it's in your unconscious, or you feel invigorated by them and never felt to reach out to a person or someone you admire. So it's that try, just get out there, and no fail. If they don't call you back, you've gotten one step further, closer to who is. So it's
And I
all
love
in
how you said,
flow.
don't sabotage it.
Do not sabotage.
Just take that step. And I feel like we self-sabotage our success and our
Constantly.
vision and our
Especially
intuition
women.
a lot. Yeah.
Men too.
Yeah.
But women especially, because we've learned to nurture or give it all away or not show up. And it's been a long plight for I to learn to be in front of a camera and also when some things will be my responsibility, but some things are not. If someone's uncomfortable, if I'm showing up in love and wholeness, that's okay.
Yeah.
To really not take less personal. If it's loving relationships, intimate relationships, do not shy away from them, nor ignore the signs, because this is business, meaning it's all about people. And if you can't show up in a whole way and listen to others and be in more equality and equanimity, which is very 2020, your company will not grow and thrive.
Right.
That used to work. It's over.
You know what I love about what you're saying too is in a world full of comparison and competition, when you vibrate at that energy, it's like you don't even pay attention to it. It doesn't exist. And that's what really allows you to open up who you are. By really just keeping yourself whole.
And I agree with that. And we'll add here for the instinct, picture your third energy center or belly button or yellow, we sometimes say, or gut. Put a North Star there or a North Star here and start to go north or forward. And then the right, left will be the competitors or the this. And you say, oh, I see you, or oh, good idea, or maybe not a good idea, thank you.
Right.
But you go you to your star, you to your light, and can be a god or a grandparent or an icon that actually is very peaceful. We've talked about this in other places. Someone who, because you will become that. And some of our icons were abusive to women and children. Some were not, but many are, because they were celebrated in patriarch, and that really excluded. We're just not in it anymore. We're in a very balancing, enlightened, transparent time. So get going forward. Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness for that. Oh, and
Thank
for
goodness.
you.
Thank
And actually, for those watching who want to get to know you a little bit more, I know you have an incredible book and you have a new one coming out. You have some programs. Can you just share a little bit about how people can connect and work with you?
Yes, so this is great just to add. We have 2 different companies or programs. I Am, which is in meditation and opening the right side of the brain and energy and understanding energy. Then we have what's called Present, which many love, especially entrepreneurs, because we have Present Exec, Present Program in the schools, Present Parenting, how really to understand your brain and clear the limbics so you do not sabotage and go forward. So we're on Instagram under Intuitive Meditation. I think there's a dot in there. Present Program, there's an underscore, and then Jill_Willard. I'm very open and here, and I am a strong representation of how to be braver in all those aspects, because once you know better, it's time to do better, and that could be new and wild, but also very exciting.
Exciting. Look, we both are so on the same wave.
Intuitive beings together.
If we knew better, we'd do better. And I think so much of that comes to taking personal responsibility and looking at how you can make this next year, this next decade, one where you feel connected in spirit with yourself, in spirit with your surroundings. I know for me, bringing a new boy into the world, I've heard you speak a little bit about parenthood, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because you start, at least I do, I'll speak for myself, I can start to put my intuitive energy into almost a box. Like I use it in business but I don't know how to use it. Yes, thank you. And so we can use it in all aspects of our life. And so I'm really excited about learning more too about how to tap into that and just being a parent.
Yes.
You know, it's wonderful. It's a whole different side of the
brain. It really is.
Yes.
This gives you great energy and clarity, and it opens everything up. So it's wonderful. Yes. It helps all things.
Yes, and we all have it, and we all can tap into it. So if this is new for you, don't self-sabotage. No. Step in and connect. So we'll put links here in the show notes for you. Reach out to Jill on social. Get connected and just take one step today by just breathing a little bit deeper, giving yourself space, and really stepping into who you know you're here on this earth to be. And that is why I know Jill and I are both here on this planet, is to help you do just that. So I would love for you to take a moment and share how this Inspired Living interview inspired you. Did it open you up in some way? Did it help you hear or feel or see something new? Please post your comments, because I love reading them. We love commenting. I'll share them with Jill. And better yet, take a step further and share this with someone else. We believe that when you are inspired, that you inspire others. And that is how we change this world together as a community. So please take a moment to share this. And as always, remember to keep dreaming it, living it, and being it. Until next time.